Welcome to another What Even Is D&D. Today's episode, additions and expansions. So, what are additions and expansions? For additions, this isn't a core rule book. This is an expansion, but it'll serve the purpose. You'll notice the difference in the look of these two books. This one is from 3.5, and this one is from 5th edition. D&D has had multiple editions throughout the years. We are currently up to 5.25, or the the 2024 5th edition. And it's not always easy to tell what edition it is, because it doesn't just say on the cover that it's not exactly branded anywhere that it's the 5th edition. So, at least not in my experience. Just looking through, I don't see, maybe in some of these, yada yada yada. Nope, not seeing it. Yep, don't see anything about it. And that's something I'd love for them to change. I'd love for them to make it just that much more noticeable. But it's not. So it's easy enough to look up online and figure out which book is the current edition. But since the covers don't exactly have anything, 3.5 has this kind of nifty cover that makes it look like it's a tome. And I've only ever worked with 3.5 and 5th edition. 3.5 as a player and 5th edition as a DM. Although I have had talks of going back and DMing with 3.5. What's the difference? The rules change up a little bit. For instance, in 3.5, you had a lot of different skills. Like, for instance, 5th edition, perception is one check. In 3.5, there was 3 checks, and it wasn't called perception. It was listen, search, and spot. No, that's not right. Listen, something, and spot. But it's been a while. 5th edition has really kind of squeezed it down into a more palatable version for some people. For others, it seems more like a video game. But both have their pros and cons. And one of my favorite things about 3.5 was crafting was a lot more involved. You could do more with crafting. 5th edition kind of leaves it up to the DM a lot more. So, now, that explains editions. 5th edition, 3rd edition, 3.5 edition. The first two, yeah, anyway. What are expansions? Well, expansions are books that expand on the current rule set. This is a 3.5 expansion. Magic Item Compendium, which gave you lots of extra magic items. So let me find a for instance. If I can. Okay, here's some. Take a look at these. Some pretty nifty stuff. And the great thing about 3.5 Magic Item Compendium was it didn't just give you cool magic items. If you went to the back, it would tell you a gold price. So it made it easier for you to figure out a price for stuff. 5th edition kind of leaves that more up to the DM. There are tables in 5th edition that let you kind of have an idea of where the price is. I prefer something like this myself, where it lists the price and I can change them as I want to, as opposed to me having to decide a price, and if I go back and look it up later, not remembering what it was, or I price something similar but different. um, I find a set price is better. But anyway, back to expansions. What do expansions do? Uh, Besides expanding on the rules, they give you more playable characters, like what you can play as. Uh, for instance, let's see. Let me pull up, uh, the whole D&D Beyond website, so I can look at some of the playable characters. I'll just do a quick create a new character. And yep, have all this checked. Sure, why not? We'll stick with that. Classes. Okay, so it provides races and classes, extra on top of the core rulebook races and classes. For instance, let's see, expanded rules. Artificer is a good, for instance. Artificers are not found in the core rules, and Warforged aren't found in the core rules, so that's helpful. Um, it helps you expand and not just be bound by certain things. There are other things like partnered content and such like that you can expand on the rules even further. But for the most part, there's going to be like expansions like this. Um, they also provide items such as magic items or weapons or whatever. Some of the books, the expansions, even provide maps or um, one shots, campaign settings, dungeons, monsters. There's so much more to it. Um, it all builds back into the core rules. So, what does that mean for you? You don't need more than the core rules to play D&D. Um, you can use the core rules as you see fit to kind of build your world, and you don't have to follow them either. That's the great thing. If you want to play, or if you want to play as a DM, um, basically, if you don't want to follow the core rules, you need to discuss that with your DM first because they're running the game. Now, uh, as a DM, you don't have to worry about that. You build the game as you see fit. The core rules are just a way of expanding without having to put a lot of thought into it. If you want to expand on your own without the core rules, you can make up your own, no problem. These things just help make it a little easier. Like, for instance, I love 3.5, Magic Item Compendium. I'm going to say that again just because it was so easy to go through and try to find a weapon or armor goal for my character. Just search through the book. I even had some of them marked. I don't remember what they were for, but they're marked. Let's see. What did I have marked? Strength Synergy. That probably wasn't for me. But in the meantime, I just kind of got to figure out what I want and come up with it. It doesn't matter because you can do whatever you want as long as your DM's cool with it. That's how it works, and that's great. Or as long as you're cool with it as the DM, depending on how you want to play. You don't need the extra books. They just come in handy. They make things easier. It's what do you call that? It's for efficiency, um, convenience. That's the word. It's a convenience. You can do just fine with the core rule books, and I'd recommend starting with the core rule books to see if you like it. So that is going to be today's episode. Haven't gotten any questions, so if you've got any questions, please feel free to throw them down in the comments. Let me know. I'll answer them as best I can, as long as they're appropriate. Uh, if you are just getting into D&D and you haven't watched the first video, I'd recommend starting there. There's a playlist. Please check that out. There'll also be a subscribe button and a playlist and recommended video up here. Uh, if you are enjoying this, please like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next episode. Have fun gaming.